Hey, welcome back. Welcome back to the Simple Plot of, the podcast where I try to simplify the plots of games as best as I can. As always, I'm your host, Cameron. I'm trying something a little different with this episode. I don't know if it's going to be really noticeable when you guys hear the episode, but I switched my microphones out just to kind of see what the difference is between microphones and stuff. Just, try it out, see what works, what doesn't, see if there's, a huge difference in quality. But anyway, enough about my microphone shenanigans. Today, obviously, we are continuing Kingdom Hearts because I already got this train rolling and I might as well keep it going until it crashes into a mountain. Today, we are covering the next game in the series, 358 over 2 days. A game that I had not personally played, well, not actually physically played, but I did view the movie in the HD remixes. And yeah, simple enough. We're gonna cover that. Just, everything's all simple and clean. Anyway, new episodes of this podcast come out every Sunday, so make sure you do all the following on the socials and whatnot. Link is in the description. But with that, let's talk about Kingdom Hearts 358 over 2 days. Also, before I get into the episode, I do want to say that I do have my window open, so if you hear any weird stuff in the background, that's why. Because it's so nice out. Like, it's finally cooling down, like in the 60s around here. It's so nice. Also, you might hear some additional noises coming from my lap, because Mochi decided to hop into my lap right before I started this section of the episode. Don't eat my microphone, please. So if you hear him being a cat, just know that he's right by me. Anyway, 358 over 2 days. I forgot to pull up. Oh, I did already pull up. See, I'm prepared. 358 over 2 days, or the subtitle is read as 358 days over 2. 358 over 2 days is an action role-playing video game developed by Hand and Square Enix in collaboration with Disney Interactive for the Nintendo DS. It is the 5th installment in the Kingdom Hearts series and takes place near the end of the first game and in parallel to Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories, with events leading directly into Kingdom Hearts 2. Yeah, so that's the confusing thing about 358 over 2 days and why it's weird when you talk about it in like release order instead of like chronologically, because 358 over 2 days takes place kind of at the end, like right at the end of the first Kingdom Hearts, and also like alongside Chain of Memories and right up to the beginning of Kingdom Hearts 2. So that's kind of weird. The game was released worldwide in 2009, specifically Japan May 30th, 2009, North America September 29th, 2009, Europe October 9th, 2009, and Australia October 22nd, 2009. I'm going to go over the gameplay real quick because it's kind of different from the other ones. I mean, obviously being on the DS, there were some limitations because, well, I was going to say Chain of Memories was a handheld, but this was the DS. They could do a little more, but still not quite like fully to the level of like a full-blown console version of Kingdom Hearts, Let's see. 358 over 2 days features a new gameplay mechanic known as the panel system, which involves the customization of the character's levels, items, equipment, and abilities. For example, certain magic spells cannot be used if their corresponding panels are not equipped, and can be used consecutively if multiple are attached. Some panels also occupy multiple slots, but can be combined with other panels to form new or stronger abilities. So basically, also 358 over 2 days did a mission thing. So like you have like a central hub, you can set up stuff before you actually go out, and whatever you put in that panel or whatever, those are the moves you have at your disposal. Limit breaks, which were also featured in Square's Final Fantasy series, can be activated during a battle once the character's health drops below a certain level, indicated by a yellow health bar. Each character has their own unique abilities during limit breaks, which allow a temporary boost to their normal abilities, whether it be increasing attack strength or allowing multiple enemies to be attacked at once. The second stage of a limit break, known as a final limit, is normally a different or powered up version of the first. It begins at the point where the white line Starting at the high end of the yellow portion of the HP bar meets top dead center. 358 over 2 days is the first Kingdom Hearts game to feature cooperative multiplayer, which is separate from single player and is mission based, including cooperative and competitive player battles. Up to 4 players can play as one of the 14 members of Organization 13, with each one having different weapons, skills, and stats. Sora, Donald Duck, Goofy, Mickey Mouse, and Riku are featured as secret characters and are unlockable by playing through the main story. 358 over 2 days, multiplayer also features a chat system for communication between players, but differs from PictoChat in that everyone can draw on the same screen. To prevent players from missing out on multiplayer content, the games were developed so that the missions could be completed without connecting with other players, instead of utilizing AI-controlled players. So yeah, some information. When they mentioned Organization 13, this is the first game we really get introduced to, we got introduced to them in Kingdom Hearts 2, and now we get to see them in action. We get another introduction to them, plus people that we may or may not have seen. So, with Organization 13, here are all the members from going by rank from top to bottom. At number 1, we got the leader Xemnas. Then we have Xigbar, Xaldin, Vexen, Lexaeus, Zexion, Saïx, Axel, Demyx, Luxord, Marluxia, Larxene, and Roxas. And then, as part of the story, we also have Xion. But what is the story? Well, my fine feathered friends, I'll get right to that. The newly born Roxas is discovered in Twilight Town by Xemnas, the leader of Organization 13, who recruits him as their 13th member. So, this is after the events of Kingdom Hearts 1, when Sora frees his heart, or frees his and Kairi's heart, he trades to Nobody, like I said in the previous episode. His Nobody took on the form of Roxas, but Roxas showed up in Twilight Town and just had no idea who he was, or God, excuse me, no idea who he was. And Xemnas found him and is just oh, your name is Roxas and you're part of my gang now. Unlike any other nobodies, Roxas lacks memories of his original self, Sora, and develops his own personality over time. So Roxas has no memory at all of Sora. Even though he's still a part of Sora, he does not know who Sora is at all, and he becomes his own person. He's Roxas, Under the tutelage of Axel, whom he befriends, Roxas is sent on daily missions to other worlds to destroy Heartless and release stolen hearts with his T-Blade, which furthers the organization's goal of creating Kingdom Hearts and becoming complete beings. Now, the reason that they have Roxas specifically do this is that their weapons aren't able to free the hearts to Kingdom Hearts. The T-Blade is the only one that releases the hearts to Kingdom Hearts. The rest of them just kind of eliminate the Heartless altogether. But the T-Blade specifically is capable of freeing the heart and sending it off to Kingdom Hearts, which is why they have Roxas doing these things, so they can collect it and try to become, people again. After Axel and several other members are reassigned to Castle Oblivion, Roxas partners with Xion, a 14th member who was inducted shortly after him. So it's at this part of the story where it kind of takes place at the same time as Chain of Memories, because, Marluxia is in charge of Castle Oblivion, but other organization members are sent there, obviously, to deal with Sora. And, of course, somebody has to back up right as I'm doing this episode. You know what? That's fine. We'll wait for you. You done? Okay. Moving on. Anyway, like I was saying, yeah, it's at this point in the story of 358 over 2 days that it takes place around the same time as Chain of Memories. Now, obviously, it's a weird, obviously, the nobodies can exist at the same time as their somebodies, right? Because Sora split himself into both a Heartless and a Nobody during the events of Kingdom Hearts, but Kairi revived his Heartless self, so he became Sora again, but his Nobody Roxas obviously is still running around. So, anyway, a lot of the organization members are busy at Castle Oblivion trying to deal with Sora and Riku and them, while Roxas keeps on doing missions with now Xion, who was somebody that was introduced Shortly, God damn it. Shortly after Roxas got there, I'm trying not to die before I get this episode done. Roxas and Shion bond over their similarities, including Shion's ability to wield a Keyblade and inability to recall her human life. Sometime later, Roxas falls into a coma caused by the alteration of Sora's memories, and does not revive until several weeks later when Axel returns from Castle Oblivion as the group's only survivor. So, Roxas, like I said, Roxas falls into a coma at this point because of the fact that at Castle Oblivion, Sora has now gone into that pod to regain his memories. Naminé is restoring his memories. So because of that, Roxas is just like, oh, I don't feel too good, I'm gonna lie down. And then he wakes up like several weeks later, and Axel is just like, yeah, everybody went to Castle Oblivion, I'm the only one that made it back. Over time, Shion befriends Roxas and Axel, who routinely eat sea salt ice cream together after missions at the Twilight Town Clock Tower, thus why they're called the Sea Salt Trio. Shion soon falls into a coma after failing to eliminate Ritu. Like Roxas, she has visions of Sora after waking. In time, Shion questions her own existence and distances herself from Roxas and Axel to learn more about herself. So, she was on a mission to eliminate Ritu, but obviously, either she couldn't do it, or Ritu was just that much of a badass and was not going to go down that easy. She eventually discovers that she is a replica, a artificial human created as a failsafe for Roxas, and that she has been inadvertently absorbing Sora's memories, preventing them from being completely restored. Okay, so here's the complicated thing about Shion. Shion obviously is a replica that was put in place by Xemnas in case Roxas failed the mission. But Shion looks like Kairi. So Shion is basically, we would say nobody. Well, it's the organization, so I guess Shion would technically be Kairi's nobody. Like Naminé would be Kairi's Heartless. Because, in the fact that when Kairi lost her heart, like I said, when people lose their heart, that splits into a Heartless and a Nobody, but since Kairi was a Princess of Heart, her Heartless and Nobody took on human form, so her Heartless, it might be the other way around too, but I believe her Heartless is Naminé and her Nobody is Shion. But yeah, Shion looks like Shion, well, because she has, first you don't see her, but because she's absorbing Sora's memories, she takes on the form of Kairi. So she looks like Kairi because of Sora's memories of Kairi. If that makes any sense. I know it's Kingdom Hearts, it's complicated, but just bear with me. But yeah, basically she was put in place to act as a failsafe in case Roxas, failed to do what the organization wanted. Let's see. She's inadvertently been absorbing Sora's memories, preventing them from being completely restored. So she's putting a wrench in the whole, restoring Sora's memories plan. Because while he's in that pod sleeping, Naminé's trying to restore Sora's memories. The fact that Roxas and Shion are both having Sora's memories, it kind of interacts with that, and it's causing kind of a bit of a hiccup. Shion is torn between staying with her friends and merging with Sora as per Ritu's advice. So yeah, Ritu tells Shion, like, hey, you gotta merge with Sora, like, because I want my friend back. Let's see. She chooses to escape from the organization after she begins siphoning Roxas' strength. Axel allows Shion to escape, but loses Roxas' trust. Upon learning Shion's identity from Xemnas, Roxas begins to question his own identity and defects from the organization in search of answers, leaving Axel dejected. You can't just leave the organization. No one would miss me. That's not true. I would. At Twilight Town, Shion attacks Roxas, having been altered by Xemnas to perform her initial purpose of absorbing Roxas and becoming a perfect copy of Sora. Yeah, so that whole thing there, Xemnas basically wants Shion to absorb Roxas to basically have the power of Sora at their disposal. Upon being defeated, Shion's body dissipates and her heart merges with Sora's, causing all memory of her existence to gradually vanish. So it's at this point, when she's defeated, Roxas does not remember who she is at all. But in her dying words, Roxas then has like just that snap of memory of her. And we did probably the cringiest line in the whole series where he grabs her hand. And he's like, Shion, who else will I have ice cream with? Upon returning to the world that never was, to stop Xemnas' plan as per Shion's last request, Roxas encounters Ritu, who attempts to capture him for Diz and resumes Sora's memory restoration process, which is halted. When Roxas overpowers him, Ritu releases the darkness suppressed within his own heart, giving him the power to subdue Roxas, but also giving him the physical form of Xehanort's Heartless Ansem, who resides in his heart. So I said that in the last episode too, in Kingdom Hearts 2. Ritu was basically tasked by Diz with capturing Roxas and getting him to merge with Sora so that Sora could be fully restored. But Roxas was a little too powerful for Ritu, so Ritu had no choice but to give in to his darkness to basically incapacitate Roxas. But in doing so, it took on the physical form of Ansem, Seeker of Darkness. Diz inserts Roxas into a virtual simulation of Twilight Town without any of his memories of the organization, so that he may eventually merge with Sora. So he plops him into a fake version of Twilight Town with no memories of the organization, and Diz is just like, hey, maybe this will eventually, like, if he doesn't think about Sora or whatever, then, this will be easy for us to restore Sora's memories. And yeah, the end of 352 Days basically goes right into the beginning of Kingdom Hearts 2. Some notes I took this, and I have physical notes. I actually took physical notes for once. God, I promise I'm not going to die before this episode ends. The first one I have in here is Roxas' theme still hits me in the feels. I actually have it as a ringtone. I will play a little bit of it, hopefully not enough to get me copyright stricken. But I should have it on. Yeah, I have it here. So if you're not familiar with Roxas' theme, this is how it goes. Like, goddamn. Hold on one second. I had to set my ringtone I had back. Yeah, Roxas' theme is probably one of my favorite tracks throughout the entirety of Kingdom Hearts. Shout out to Yoko Shimomura. The other note I have in here is this game gives a lot more context as to why the organization was so adamant about bringing Roxas back. So, like in Kingdom Hearts 2, they were talking about like, oh, Roxas, like we want Roxas, we want Roxas. Now, like you get why, like you get the whole backstory of everything. I already explained the plot, but I wrote in my notes here. The game is during perfect English. The game is during Roxas's full year with the organization. After Sora created him as a nobody, Roxas appeared at Twilight Town with no memory. Xemnas found him, bestowed him the name Roxas, and made him join the game. I mean, yeah, I already went over the whole story. And like I said, I never played the original game, like on the DS. And my only experience with it is the HD room, which is the 1.5, 2.5 remix, because it's on there. They put it on there. They didn't put any of the gameplay on there because I'm sure translating stuff that worked on the Nintendo DS to consoles wasn't really going to work. So what they did, they just made it as like a movie, basically. They put all the cutscenes in there and put some blips in there where Mickey kind of narrates stuff that happens. But they just put all the cutscenes together in a movie, so you can watch the whole story unfold. One important thing, I guess, to note about Shion is that because of how she is, she kind of takes on the form of whoever, like anybody who looks at her, like if they get like strong memories of a person, like eventually, like towards the end when Shion fights with Roxas, right before the battle, Mochi, chill yourself out. I really hope that picked up in the microphone. But yeah, like before Shion fights Roxas, Roxas sees Shion as Sora, and there's one point where Xigbar fights Shion, and Xigbar at one point sees Shion take on the form of Ventus from Birth by Sleep. Once I did the Birth by Sleep, that'll kind of explain why he does that. But yeah, 350 over 2 days, I know it's a lot of people's favorite, especially because of the story. Like obviously the Destiny Islands trio, Sora, Riku, and Kairi is iconic, but I feel like the Sea Salt trio has the more like sadder upbringing, because if you oh my god, Mochi, what is your problem? Oh my god, I want that to come up in the recording so bad. Like, just me trying to talk about Kingdom Hearts and my cat in the background just hey, come here. You know what? I'm gonna hold you like a baby for the rest of this episode. But yeah, I feel like the Sea Salt trio is the most one of the most tragic, only topped by the Wayfinder trio, Birth by Sleep. Because the Sea Salt trio, like, when you think about it, Roxas has no memory of who he was, and he finds out that he was essentially never supposed to exist. Same with Xion. Xion was basically never meant to exist. And poor Axel is just caught up in all this because, he has friends. He made friends. He, had a group of friends that he could call his own. And all of a sudden they're fighting each other and, all this stuff. And they were never meant to live. And they're, abandoning him, basically. He already lost one friend to the organization because, and this is a little spoiler ahead of Birth by Sleep, but Axel and Saïx used to actually be friends together in Radiant Garden. Like, they grew up as best friends, but once they became nobodies, which is their somebody names for Lee and Isa, but for the sake of this, I'll call them the organization. Saïx kind of started looking down on Axel and started treating him different. Like, he wasn't the friend that Axel used to know. So Axel, having Roxas and Xion, he was like, oh, I have friends that truly care about me. And then all of a sudden they're fighting each other and abandoning, and he's just kind of caught in the crossfire of all this, and I feel really bad for him. Anyway, closing my some closing comments on 358 or 2 days. I really liked it, even though I never actually played the original game. Well, I suppose I could because emulators. But overall, 358 over 2 days is really good. It's a really great game, and I just see why a lot of people love the story in it. It's definitely a heart-wrenching story. But with that, I think that's all I gotta say on 358 over 2 days. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I made it through the whole episode without dying, so that's good. Obviously, next God, what are we covering next? Hold on, I gotta look up the chronologic. Let's see. As long as people are, calm down outside. Oh, Birth by Sleep is next. Alright, so next episode we're talking about Birth by Sleep. But until then, hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Check the link in the description for all the socials. Come talk to me. Give me suggestions for games and whatnot. And, do the do with the what and the what. I've been Cameron. Drink plenty of water out there. Do positive things. Seriously, take care of yourselves. You guys are awesome. And as always, we'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.